Okay, we can end it.
As you already know, for people that joined this podcast early, this is the first time I do a podcast live, so don't expect this to go smoothly. When I do a podcast, like I upload them, normally I have to do it in like two parts, at least three parts, maybe sometimes. The brand one, the first one, I had to do 10 parts because of technical problems. So yeah, let's see if this is going well. I guess I'll cut it some parts out once we upload it finally to YouTube. At least the start. That was 2 minutes of me trying to find a link. But I'm here with the world champion from 2018. He is currently the last world champion. Maybe he will stay the last world champion for as long as we know Trackmania for. He is visiting me here in Norway, so why not give you the exclusive content of having a podcast with him here? Kappa, here in Norway, can you tell us why did you pick Norway as a destination for your vacation?
Well, first of all, hello, and hello to everyone else watching this exclusive content from Norway, as you mentioned. Why did I pick Norway for my trip? Because it was supposed to be awesome, and I found out that you don't live in a very populated area in Norway. Actually, in the very northern part of the country, which I actually found pretty interesting and something I wanna slash need to visit. And so I used the opportunity, and here I am. I've spent a week here, and I'm leaving tomorrow morning. It's been a great time. Thank you very much for providing all the stuff, the accommodation, and all the trips around. And yeah, if someone is into hidden gems and interesting and quiet places, then Norway is really the way to go.
So what can I do? I actually provide a guy 1 week of free sleeping just so I can bring a podcast to you here live, inviting him here to Norway. So if you have any questions to him, I had done a podcast with him before, and it was just before he decided to come back to Team Sampi. But I have asked my questions more or less about his earlier career. I also been talking to you with events, probably the guy I've talked to with the most at events. So more or less, my questions are already out of the park. But if you have any questions in the chat, now is the time. This is your first opportunity to actually show that you want to ask questions. If you are active today, maybe I will do another podcast. I'm not sure if I will invite the guest to Norway, but maybe I'll do it over the internet live. So make sure to stay active, ask some questions, and yeah, we have already the manager Kubais who pushed us to be here at ready at 9. But hey, we are fashionable late. We have a world champion. But last time I spoke to you, spoke a lot about you being retired, coming back to Trackmania, and you eventually you came back at Giant Cup. I spoke to you there as well, and we all know the story. You became the world champion. But now that you look back at, let's say, the period from now to that podcast and the time in between, how would you describe it?
Uh, Unexpected ride, I think. The the podcast we did last summer was in the period of my career where I really thought it was over, but we all know what happened after that, and what happened with Team Sampi was really indeed unexpected to me. But I'm very thankful for that, and so far it's been a blast, and I really found a new myself with them, which resulted into me getting the world championship title, and also another victory at Gaming Winterfest, a silver medal at the Gamers Assembly. So it's been a great year in Team Sampi, and yeah, it really found me, made me find my peak, made me become a better player than I ever was, or I thought I would never be as good as I was this year. So yes, that was a great opportunity from Team Sampi, and I really enjoyed this additional year. Let's see how many of them will come. But yeah, I really don't regret the decision to go back to the game, even though I have other stuff to do in my life. Need to focus on studying more and more. but yeah, I really don't regret going back to the game. And as of yet, the game is growing. So let's see if there's still future for me because things are changing.
But obviously, the biggest moment you had is the World Championship. You won it. But if you look back at the period, what would you say is the second biggest, or most memorable, or funniest, or what will you remember the day you look back at this period from now to the other podcast when you say, okay, that was an unexpected moment. That was maybe an underrated achievement.
I think the World Championship really stands out of all those tournaments I've played since my revival. Let's put it that way. It was also great to, for example, win men versus men because there was my first tournament after the World Cup victory, and I really felt the momentum inside of me. I didn't practice too much for that, but just knowing that you're the world champion and made the deal. I didn't need to put a lot of effort in it. It just went so smoothly for me, and I played so well in all the matches. Gamers Assembly this year was also a great tournament for me, except the grand final maybe, and also the winner bracket final wasn't the best, to be honest. But besides that, I was really feeling it. Uh, Tried my best to prepare myself, but in the end, it was Peg who was making the least mistakes and deservedly won. Yeah, that's good to state. Um, Other than that, I don't think any other tournament could match TMWC because that was just so special and means so a lot to me, honestly. After it had been 10 years since I started the game until the World Championship, and was a big satisfaction. But I spoke to you in all the interviews that I didn't really expect myself to win going to the tournament, also losing the first qualifier. Yeah, Jesus, that was. I had a really hard time with myself, emotionally. But yeah, made me made me think of myself, and I just went for it 100%. Started playing in a cyber cafe and shit, and yeah, then it happened. I just went for it.
But honestly, if you look back at the performances this year, we have the Trackmania Awards coming up, or maybe we have it coming up, depending on if I want to host it and if somebody else wants to host it. Last year, we had the Player of the Year category changed to Tech Player of the Year. I guess it's good to have a Tech Player of the Year this year as well because you have Trackmania Grand League, ZrT Cup, Air France Cup. So if you just look at Tech Player of the Year this year, who do you say is Tech Player of the Year if you just look at 2019 and this first events we have?
Well, I guess Peck is gonna win it because Gamers Assembly is nowadays probably the only big Trackmania tech tournament, the only tech tournament with some solid reputation. Because I'm not gonna count Gaming Winterfest there. Also, not too many people attended this year, so it kind of has no real value for the poll. Um, yeah, I think we really will look at the gamers assembly results. Even though I also won man versus man and played really well in the World Tech Cup recently, so I think I should be a really good contender. But the fact that me and Pact only matched once and I lost, or like twice, twice in one tournament, and I lost both of the matches, I think that's gonna make him win, honestly.
We have some questions here. Noise asks, where are we? We are in northern Norway. If you want to Google it, Stokmarknes, Vesterålen/Lofoten. You'll search for it. It's an island far up in the north.
I think you should probably write it in the chat because people probably can't catch
Yeah,
it.
when you answer the next question, I will. Okay. Yeah, Gaming Winterfest 2019 in round two, you beat the three-time Hall of Famer Scotty. Uh, but if you look maybe at the tech scene overall, we have one guy who's been outspoken about it and saying that he doesn't like the changes. I believe Omnipods has said it. Now he decided to retire yesterday. What do you see in the future moving? Not what you expected when you came back, you became the world champion. Now we're here, we see this change, and maybe tech isn't the main style anymore.
Unfortunately, it's not. Even though I think it might be a good step forward for Trackmania to not just focus on one style, to just play the same combination of turns, tournament by tournament. So having different styles and different, original parts and different turns might actually help the community, might not help the community, as we see that some people are starting to retire
Yeah.
from the game. But I honestly really like the way Air France tracks look, because I find it really original, even though the whole concept is original on itself. So having tracks like that is just a bonus. I think those guys made a really good job. Yeah, I have to agree that tech is probably yeah sh- uh, leaving the prime of Trackmania. If it's good, I don't know, because if you look at the biggest tournament right now, like it was ZrT Cup or is TMGL, there are still plenty of the former pure tech players. So I guess everyone can compete really from the tech scene. It's just you have to adapt to it, and you have to kind of admit that that the change is there, and you have to just overcome it. For me, it's been difficult because, as you may know, I've always been focusing mainly on tech. Never really, never really tried different styles because, hey, why? You know, when you play a game and you wanna obviously achieve something, and when you start playing the game and you see that the way you can achieve something is by playing tech and being the best tech player, then why would I waste my time with playing other styles? Because that would honestly be just wasting the time. But suddenly, after like 15 years of the game existing, things are changing, and for me, as the most recent world champion, it's like a slap in the face. Let's be honest here.
But I believe it was Spam. I joined the stream. He said that he sees fun playing Serrator Cup maps because he can improve more there than you can in tech because you have played tech for so many years. But do you agree there that it's maybe fun to learn new styles? Now you can finally see you taking these big gaps again and not just trying to push the small, extra small margins like you do in tech, probably because you already hit a high level there.
Well, it really depends what you expect from the game and from the competitive scene. I can see where this spam statement comes from, because you know uh, from the very beginning, it's very very difficult to persuade yourself that the change is only for the good. And yeah, also people like spam really needs to beat that voice in their head that, okay, I don't like this, this is not going well. You have to really um, persuade yourself that it's a good thing, and you're doing it for the good of the community, which I can probably agree with. But yeah, as I said, it really depends on what you expect from the community scene. Do we want to see new stuff, or we want to see probably the same stuff but very intense and close? That's the question. Well, maybe since it's an arcade racing
Yeah.
PC game, we probably should agree that having some crazy moments should be beneficial. Because hey, why not? Like normal racing can be performed also in real life, but let's just use the possibilities of having it on a computer. So it's tough, and it really depends on what you expect from the competitive scene. I can see the positives on both sides. Honestly, I'm not a fan of just one point of view.
We have a question in chat here from Scotty, aka TM Scotsman. He asks, "What do you expect in terms of future World Championships? Is there going to be a future World Championship? Are you going to be the last World Championship? And if there is one, what do you expect? Is it going to be tech? What do you expect there?"
Well, Softy said that TMGL playoffs should be considered as the World Championship, even though um, since it's not named like the World Championship, I guess people want to really consider it as the World Championship or the real World Championship. So I might stay or remain the most recent world champion until at least next year, and let's see what happens. But I guess the MGL season 2 is coming up really soon after the playoffs are over. And if there's no change of the name, I guess I will stay until 2021. And then maybe they decide to change the name of the league, or maybe people will start recognizing the league as the real world championship or just as the major tournament. So we won't really care about having world champions, but about the winners of the major event. I don't know. It's just playing with words, in the end. So some people can also consider the ZrT Cup the this year's world championship because it has by far the biggest attention, and also most of the top players really attended. So yeah, the real world championship as we were used to is probably not gonna happen anytime soon, as long as Trackmania Grand League doesn't change its name. Since we probably should consider always the world championship the event that's organized by the creators of the game, and the Reto Cup is not it.
Would you say that maybe people in the community might not view the winner of the Trackmania Grand League as the World Championship? But if you end up winning Trackmania Grand League, would you view yourself as a world champion then, or would there need to be this name that is called the Trackmania World Championship?
As I said, it's just playing with words. Honestly, if I at any circumstances win Trackmania Grand League this year, which can obviously possibly happen, uh, I would not consider myself the world champion, or I would since I am right now, but not 2019 world champion. But I would consider myself the winner of the main event of the year, which you can always tell people, "Hey, I'm the world champion," to people that don't know Trackmania scene. But to me, it's not world championship, but just the biggest event for me.
And the World Championship or World Champion, I use a lot here in Norway. We're introducing you. I said, yeah, he's the World Champion, of course. But we have a question here from the best disc golf player in Trackmania is Miquatro. Have you played disc golf, the frisbee? And if so, what is your experience with it?
We actually played frisbee with NMD in the ocean a few days ago. I don't know. You have to say if I'm okay or not, but I guess okay. That's enough for an answer. I guess I'm a bit better in Trackmania than with frisbee, but it was fun. I'm more of a ball guy. I play ball games like volleyball, football, but frisbee is not really the object I am the most familiar with. But yeah, we still had fun.
I have some clips there. I think they are going to be uploaded to Patreon. Maybe I'm going to make a little YouTube video there, but let's see. He's a decent player for the first time. But Miquatro, I don't think you should be scared yet because he isn't throwing 100 meters. We have another question from Hau. I don't know. He's a Norwegian guy, so Hau, I guess, is the way you pronounce it. Now that you don't have too many events to attend to, or you have the Trackmania Grand League coming up now, but you said once you have a downtime in Trackmania, maybe Hokolicious is something you want to take back. We still have the Swedish Lundström having the world record there. Are you planning on taking it back? Have you given up? What is your future there? I heard Twin saying that he was going to take back EO5. Are you going to take back Hokulicious?
First of all, good luck to Marek because because I can't see him getting it back anytime soon. Not because of lack of skill, but it's been some time since he played it for the last time, and I can really feel that getting into such shape on a track where you have to perform 60 perfect laps, also in TMNF, really requires a lot of training and a lot of dedication and very strong nerves. And I don't think. Sorry, Mark, if you're watching, probably the VOD or I don't know. I really don't believe today's twin that he's he's that determined to put such amount of hours to play some TMNF track, just to beat Rollin, who already stated that he's ready to get it back once he gets beaten. So I don't think Twin will get it back anytime soon. But let's speak about me. Probably I'm not gonna spit on him too much because, um, yeah, but Hokolicious, yeah, no, that is a hell of a track, and a hell of a world record, honestly, because point 80 is pretty much almost like what I was dreaming of. Because my goal was point 79, as some may know, and he's so close from it. So it's just one improvement, but for me, it's more improvement probably because my PB so far is probably 83. It is, I think. So that sounds pretty close to it, but believe me, it's not. Like it's it's a lot of attempts. It's a lot of risking, a lot of unfortunate bugs when you really don't expect it. And with my program, which I was having since my last PB, which was like in January, I think, I really didn't have time to play the map because was busy with life and most importantly with all the tournaments, starting with men versus men, game Winterfest, Gamers Assembly, TMGL, now WTC. So I really didn't have time to play it. Now I'm gonna focus on TMGL playoffs, so maybe after that, but maybe not even that. And it also really depends on Lund, because I think it's not official statement from me right now. But if he does point 0.7, then I'm not like giving up, but I don't care anymore. The goal is to get point 0.7, to get the first point 0.7. And since I really don't see point 0.6 being driven like in this century at least, then I'm not interested into it, because if he gets point 0.79 and then I'm supposed to get 78, that's not that interesting anymore, because the amount of hours you have to put in it is just like nah.
We have some more questions in the chat here, and if you want to ask questions, go through with them. We will go around for until 11. Kappa has to wake up pretty early tomorrow to get to a bus and then take a plane, so we won't stay too long. It's not going to be like a Softy B or Axel Alex podcast for 2 hours. But a question from Novice, your teammate or countrymate in the World Team Cup, he asks, if you break a keyboard, are you going to buy the exact same keyboard, a different kind of keyboard? And how many keyboards have you played with in your Trackmania career?
Yeah, novice uses the same keyboard as I do, so he yeah, he has a lot of questions about my inputs and stuff. Always. Yeah, I would definitely buy the same one because I'm really satisfied with it. Finally found probably the best one I've ever played with. And yeah, but I don't see myself breaking it, because it's not like with a gamepad where you hold something in your head and you're angry, so you just throw it away. With keyboard, it's different. You maybe break the table or the screen, but I don't see myself breaking the keyboard. But if it happens, as of yet, I would buy the same one. So can't remember the name of it, but you know which one it is, novice.
But how many keyboards have you played with?
Hmm?
How many keyboards in your career? Just one?
No, like four, maybe five. But those were really bad ones. Like I never had really a gaming keyboard. Once I got a keyboard by TT Esports when I was in PKD. It was a mechanical keyboard, and it was so freaking loud, man. So I stopped using it immediately because some may know that I usually practice during night, and when you have a loud keyboard like that, it's really impolite to all your neighbors and to your flatmates and to your family or whoever you live with. So I stopped using it, and I use a some yeah.
Yeah, I think he posted it there.
Okay.
B120.
Yeah, pretty good one. Yeah, I first played with that keyboard in the cyber cafe.
What?
Yeah, when I started training for TMWC, and that's why I got it, because I got used to it during the preparation, and I told some people, hey, please get me get me the same keyboard because I'm used to it now, and I want to play the world championship on that one. And since I won, I stick with it. Now I don't want to change.
And talking about loud keyboards, we have a tier 4 Patreon in the chat. Is Asteri. He has a pretty loud keyboard if you have joined his streams. But he says, what do you look for in your future if you talk Trackmania wise? Is it maybe to win like the biggest cup of the year that you missed out on this year, the ZrT Cup? Is it to win the Trackmania Grand League? How do you see yourself? Do you have any like bucket list things you want to do in your future?
You're bringing it up, man. uh, as of yet, I'm 100% focused on TMGL. I'm using this trip to loosen up a bit, and when I get home, I'll probably start practicing like immediately. So it's 3 weeks, I think, until the first qualifier round against Carl Junior, Scrappy, and Papu, which is gonna be a hell of a match for sure. I'm also looking forward to that pick and ban system, so don't miss out on that one. And after that, I honestly really don't know, or I maybe know, but I don't wanna talk too much too early. So the future is in the stars. As we all know, there's still ZrT Cup 2020, which is probably every gamer's dream right now, or every Trackmania player's dream. I really would love to go there, but it's not for sure that I will yeah go for it. So right now it's only TMGL, and I don't care about anything else Trackmania wise.
But bringing up ZRT 2020 is going to be the biggest edition ever. This year's was the biggest edition. Now that you missed out on it, do you feel more motivation going into the next event? Let's say that you had qualified for the ZrT Cup. Would you have less motivation for the Trackmania Grand League?
Mm, no, 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 no. Well, as of yet, I'm not thinking about that event.
Yeah.
Maybe after TMGL, I will really rethinking my whole career. But even if I retire or stop playing, which is an option, honestly, uh, I still can't say that I won't play that qualifier at least. But the thing is that, uh, yeah, if I would know life, uh, I might have a good chance to qualify. But you don't want to just qualify, like that. That's getting there is obviously a great achievement on itself, but it's probably not enough. You want to at least get to the final, and I really need to get some more lol or trial skills, honestly, to get a bit more control of the car, to be to be at least familiar with it in terms of consistency. Because yeah, I can perform probably everything there is, but it's probably not as consistent as it should be for such a tournament where everyone will be probably super no lived. So I will probably not go for it if I know that I don't have enough time to practice. But it also really depends if it's 1v1 or 2v2 or what the format is. Maybe 3v3. Let's see what ZrT is gonna come up with. I promised Marek after really letting him down last qualifier that I will uh, give him a payback somehow. Yeah, that's something I should really do. But if it's 1v1, then I'm probably probably the chances are a bit lower. But as I said, I really will rethink it all after TMGL.
But then talking about this year's ZRT, like you said, you missed out on qualifying to the event. How was it? How was it to sit home and watch it? Did you even watch it from home? Was it like I put it away? I don't want to forget about it. How was it to miss out on the biggest platform in Trackmania?
I barely remember the tournament because the day before was my last exam of the exam period, and I was fucking hangover the day after. That was Saturday when the tournament was happening, and I was just laying in bed. Sometimes opened my eyes, sometimes was sleeping. So I saw the most important rounds, but um, I really didn't have any feelings watching because I was just feeling so sick. But we were rewatching actually the compilation by Solari.
Yeah, some French.
Some friend, but yeah, that was so intense. Honestly, made me really regret I couldn't put more hours into the practice. And I also just remembered how badly I played in the most important match of our qualifier. Yeah, still hurts. That was one of the most or one of the biggest upsets of my career. I really was not happy with myself, especially when Tween was playing good, and I really, in the end, it was 4 points I think that we were missing to go through. Yeah, that was a disaster for me personally. Really had bad few days after that. Honest, not gonna lie, it really put me down a lot.
Yeah, because if you look at your offline events, I believe from 2017 Gaming Winterfest, you won. Games Assembly, you won. You had good success at the World Championship, of course. Giant Cup, you didn't do too well at. But Games Assembly 2018, you was in the grand final. You won Games Assembly 2019. You played second at Games Assembly 2019. So was this maybe one of the first big hit that you went for and didn't really achieve something at, or how would you summarize that? That this was actually something you wanted to achieve well at, but you didn't really do as well as you've done in the previous tournaments for the last 3 years or 2 years.
Well, I was at ZrT Cup 2 years ago.
Yeah, but just this year's edition.
This year's edition, I really wanted to go.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Especially with the system 2v2, it gets more intense when you can hype up yourself with your teammates, which we would definitely do with Tween. But I really didn't have the time for that. Really, the problem with ZrT Cup is that it's always in my June exam period, which is always the worst month of the year for me to find some spare time. And it was the main case for me once again. I hoped it would be enough, and I think we both had the quality in the end to make it, but it was just that bad performance in that one match, which really knocked out us of the tournament. And yeah, also the map order there. You only play three tracks, and one of them. I know it's not an excuse, but Beta Dirt. You probably don't know which map that was, or maybe you do. Yeah, you do. That was probably the worst track I've ever played. And I decided not to practice it for the qualifier at all. You know, I thought that we would probably play it in like round 2 or 3, and then it would never appear again, and we would still survive somehow because of the other tracks. But in the end, there was only 3 tracks for the round of 16 or round of 8, or what was it? And round of 8. And yeah, when there's only 3 tracks, you basically then need to really perform on the other two. And yeah, when you're not in the top 4 after map 1, you might get a bit nervous, which I apparently did. And the last track was a random track, basically the track where the whole tournament concluded in the end, which I really don't understand how that was possible. Honestly, the map order was so weird, and yeah, I just couldn't just couldn't stay on the ledge on that track and fell off like 3 times, and those were the points we were really missing in the end. And yeah, we all no, it was beta dirt, man. If if we weren't playing beta dirt, it would have looked differently. But I just hoped we wouldn't play it, and we did. So that's not an excuse, obviously.
So let's look into the future. This weekend we actually had the Air France qualification coming up, 6 slots, and then later on, I believe 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks after, we're gonna have 4 more slots. You're here in Norway. We haven't played too much Trackmania here, maybe a total amount of 10 minutes. But are you actually trying to go for the second qualification then, or is it just this Trackmania Grand League that is gonna take your focus now?
Looks like I'm just gonna focus on TMGL. Basically because the first qualifier is tomorrow. Oh no, on Saturday. Yeah, but I can't attend on Saturday, and I saw just 2 of the maps, so that's not happening. But there's the second qualifier. But the problem is that it's the 1st of September, which is also my first TMGL match. And I really don't know what the schedule is gonna be like, but I believe it will conclude somewhere in the evening, just like my TMGL match. So I probably need to find out what the actual schedule is, and maybe we'll attend the second qualifier in the end. That's really not for sure yet, but I think it's unlikely that I will play, honestly, even though it looks like a great event. Yeah, great tracks, playing in a plane, but I can't play with a keyboard there. But it's since there are no real prizes, you probably don't care too much about doing good in the actual tournament. You just want to be part of such a project. So I might really still reconsider it, but I need to know the schedule, because if it's the same day as TMGL's match 1, then I'm probably fucked.
Okay, then let's move the focus over to Trackmania Grand League. We had 10 steps in the league, the beta season. Looking back at it before the tournament, many people saw 3 favorites, I believe, or maybe 4 favorites. Was you, Pack, Brent, and Carl Jr. You barely made it. You was the 8th guy to finish. I believe you have to owe Cappuccino or Cap something there for maybe choking the end on the last map. But for you, looking back at the beta season, the group stage, how would you summarize it?
Hmm. The interesting thing about TMGL group stage was the less I was prepared, the better, or the more points I was gaining. So yeah, I was focusing on training for the last 3 steps to maybe get top 3. Now it sounds ridiculous, right? But it was still real back then. But the more I was pushing myself to play fast and to get those 20 pointers, the more mistakes I was obviously making on those tracks and on those identities. and in the end, I was not getting any points those last steps. So I really had to hope for a miracle on the last track, but that track was like, yeah, a meme festival. Let's put it that way. So I knew I was not out yet when the map started, and there were three guys who I was hoping for, to pull it out for me. Was Rolling, Papu, and Cappuccino. But yeah, after the first few laps, I saw that all of them were like top three or top four, all of them. So was not looking all too well for me, and I was just crashing around because I knew that I couldn't change anything, even if I finished like sixth or fifth on that track, I wouldn't get enough points to beat them in the overall scores, because if they could keep their points from the last step, it would, just no chance. So I was just playing casually, crashing a lot every round, and because I was watching the current standings, and yeah, then I think it was like lap 7 or lap 8, and I saw Cappuccino falling down position by position. It was ah, yeah, it was a great feeling, and I knew it was home, so I just made sure that I was ahead of him, so he couldn't, you know, gain any more positions, or at least one position more, and it was in the end enough, barely, but it was enough. So now it doesn't matter. Well, it could matter, the group stage standings, because you got a lot of money for that, also for the map wins. Like 15K for the group stage is a lot of money, considering it's three times more than the for the actual playoffs. I thought it would be the opposite. Honestly, that's also why I was not really focusing on the actual group page, group stage. Well, yeah, it is what it is, and in the end, for me, it has always been more about the prestige and the fulfilled ambition than about getting a few more hundreds of euros or dollars or whatever. So the real champion of TMGL is the winner of the playoffs at Paris Games Week this November, and we are all on the same starting lane right now. So let's hope it's gonna be a good player for me.
But having played 10 steps, 50 maps, you have to have felt the levels of the other players. Do you feel that there are some favorites going into it, or is everything actually switched up again because now you have rounds mode again, you have finalist mode, you have to drive 10 laps, or do you see any favorites here, like clear favorites going into this playoff phase?
Well, we all know that there are clear favorites, no matter what the system really is, since Carl and Peck are beasts on basically in every possible system. But the rounds mode probably suits me better than the actual lap mode from the group stage, even though I still consider myself as a very consistent player. So if it was uh, lap mode on tech tracks, I think I would be a big favorite there. But since you have those identities, and just not, it just doesn't feel comfortable to risk them 10 times in a row. So I tend to a bit, to take it a bit safer. So I keep losing time, or maybe take the safer route and lose to Carl immediately 1 second, lap by lap. And then there's a huge gap. So now with the rounds mode, it's different. Now you can see if you have to risk, or you can take it safer, because the round will be soon over and you go from the very beginning again. You don't really need to calculate too much. So I will be much more confident going to those identities now with the rounds mode, definitely. So I would not consider myself as the favorite going into it, but I think I'm a great contender, honestly.
Uh, Due to the not announcing the official play date until the playoffs or the groups it was over, we have Bren now in Australia. We have Spam booking a vacation. So basically, six players left for fighting for the four slots. How do you see it? Is it fun to actually play when you can have two of the I believe Spam finished third, maybe Brand finished fifth or something. How do you see it when you can have two players that is a potential winner of this tournament not even attending because it was bad planned, it was bad announced, so they had other things to actually move on with their life.
It's unfortunate, obviously. Two of the eight players not being able to attend eventually. Not sure about Brand, but Spam said it's for certain. That's really unlucky, especially for Spam, I would say, because I have to admit that he's improved again. I can really see that he plays much more confident than he used to probably like 2 or 3 years ago. So he would be also a great contender, but now it makes more space for me at least, to get probably to the top four more smoothly. And for Bran, yeah, I really don't have too much information about it. I just know that he moved to Australia, but how does it collide with not knowing the date for TMGL? Wouldn't he go to Australia anyway? That's not something that we should really matter about too much. Maybe with Spam, it's unfortunate, but hey, if you're planning your holiday like half a year ahead, then you're probably doing it because you want to save money. But saving money, there's the other side of it. You don't know what's in half a year, so that's his cost of it for saving some money because of booking so early. I don't know.
If we turn back the clock 1 year or so, you were the last player to qualify for the World Championship. Now you're the last player to qualify to Trackmania Grand League playoffs. But let's be honest, who do you see qualifying together with you? Because I obviously think that you yourself see you qualifying. But let's name three other players you see going to Paris in the start of November.
Mm, me, Carl Jr., Beck, and really depends on Bran how he's gonna decide. I don't think Spam is gonna put too much effort into it since he knows he can't attend. Even though there's still this reward of being qualified for season 2 if you get top four. For those who don't know, uh, but I think Papu has a good chance. Also, since it's a double elimination, he's got a quite difficult match 1. Scrappy also really skilled player, but I think Papu is gonna take it over Scrappy. But I'm just counting out Spam and Brand because I think they won't be that motivated for it anymore. But they can still make it and give the position to the fifth guy, to the spot to the fifth guy. But I think Papu has a good chance. We'll see about Rolling how he does on rounds mode because now it's more about being super fast, not super consistent. So I don't think I think he's the biggest outsider right now, obviously. But yeah, those are my four probably. Papu is the fourth.
Well, now you have the pick and ban system as well. There are 10 maps there, but there are only five maps going to be played in each match. How are you dealing with this? Do you practice 5 maps? Do you practice all 10 maps? Do you practice one map super hard? How do you deal with it? And do you actually look into the other players you're going to play against and look, okay, that player is probably good at that. Let me ban that map.
Yeah, I can already see that Carl wants me to play more online, so he knows what tracks I like and which tracks I don't like. Uh, you really have to think about what maps the others will be good at. But probably if there's a map that you're super good at, you really want to pick it no matter how the others are on it. I honestly don't know yet because there's still a lot of time to go. But it's for sure that you really need to be good on all of them because people might do like strange but also clever decisions to probably pick a map they don't like, but they will pick it because you dislike it even more.
Yeah, exactly.
So it will be a great mind game, and I'm really looking forward to it. Um, yeah, unfortunately, there's just one dirt track, and Papu is probably gonna be, not gonna be playing it too much, I guess, as he's the only good dirt guy there. But yeah, I really need to uh, think of my tactics. It will all come down to my practice, because then I will see what I'm really capable of on these tracks. And yeah, we'll see.
We are over 23 Central European summertime. If you have any questions, now is the time to send them in. We will close in not too long. Like I said, he has to wake up early tomorrow and start traveling. It's been somewhat a long day today. We didn't went hiking, we just went on a long driving trip. But if you look back at 2019, are you gonna think you're gonna leave with the same feelings that you left 2018, or do you now have higher expectations? How would you say that you're gonna look back at 2019 when you look back at it?
I would say that satisfying myself is not. It has now become much harder,
Yeah.
since the biggest achievement I always wanted to achieve has always already been achieved. But TMGL is another challenge, obviously, because now that the map style has changed, I really need to prove myself to myself and to everyone else. So yeah, I would be super happy if I was the winner, obviously, but I'm not heading into it with the ambition or with expectation of winning it, honestly. But you know, I didn't have the expectation when I was going to TMWC either. I will just close the door, shut the windows, and give it all absolutely. We'll see if I can qualify to the main event. Top four should be doable, maybe not. We'll really see. So many good players. Everyone knows the tracks already, and there's plenty of time to practice them even more. So I guess the level will be super high, even though some of the tracks have very, let's say, creative part. And uh, the ambition is obvious, to get to the top. It has always been like that, but I don't expect myself to win the tournament. I just want to play at my best level, to be 100% prepared, and let's see what it's gonna bring, because I know that Peck and Carl at least will be super good.
A question from Tim Gosling, I guess. How did you improve so much after your retirement? How did you take the step up from being one of the, let's say, top 10 players to being the world champion, then winning Gaming Winterfest, being top two at Games Assembly, and maybe most people view you as the best tech player?
Mm, good question. Yeah, I was thinking about it a lot. The first moment when I really started improving was switching to 144 hertz monitor and getting myself a new PC, because after it felt like there was something inside of me, but it couldn't be really, uh, I couldn't really use it because of my bad hardware and 60 hertz monitor. I really didn't know until that was such a big difference. And on the level that the top players are playing right now, it's, for me, it's just feels impossible almost to play like that on a 60 hertz monitor. I think Twin is still playing with it, and if he was playing with 144 hertz, honestly, I think he would have improved as well. But he seems not to care, because he thinks like, your eyes can't catch more than 60 frames per minute anyway, so you don't need it. It doesn't work like that. I've told him, but he's still my competition, so I'm not gonna let him improve that fast. But if you're watching Twin, you're dumb.
Question from Novice again. I guess you want to try to steal as many lessons from you as possible. Why is offline train better for you then compared to online? in training on servers?
because I'm an introvert, you know. Just kidding. Uh, uh, my training usually has includes both. If the training is really 100% like precise, I always start with practicing offline. You get to know the track. You are not disturbed by the other players chatting. It's just you and the track. Honestly, you're focusing on your own thing, but it just works like that for me. So it might not work for you the same way. You get to know the best lines because you see the ghosts playing against you, so you can see where you were losing, where you can gain. Then, when you know the best lines, you can really start just playing online because you know what the possibilities of the track are, and that's how I practice. So I always spend some time offline. Then, when I know the best lines, I go online and maybe want to get some Dedimania record or start playing for consistency. But yeah, sometimes I spend too much time offline and forget about the consistency thing, and then I regret because it's a very important part of the training period to start playing consistently. Because, for example, at GA 2018, I was just spending all the time solo trying to get the WR so much, and at the end I got only one. So I was inconsistent as fuck, honestly. So it was so bad. And yeah, so don't forget about training consistency. It's not only about world record hunting. That's what I would recommend. But since you're asking me why I was doing that, you're probably not having that problem. Since I know you play a lot online, novice, so you're fine, I guess. And uh, it's probably not for everyone because some people may find it boring. Some people can see the best line without playing against the ghost or against the replay. Sometimes even I do, but I'm just used to it, and it has worked for me like since ever. So I will stick with it.
So last chance to answer some questions. I already see Team Scotsman bringing up some other trip questions. So I'm gonna bring up my last question from today. If you look back at the Norway trip, the week you have been here, if there's one thing that people should do when they come to visit, and by the way, anybody who wants to come, I will book you up and we'll do a podcast as well. But what is the thing they should do? What is the most fun you have done here? What is the thing that you will go back to your parents and tell them about first? Is it the ferry that used 1 hour to go into harbor? What is it?
I think it would be eating a whale. Yeah, I just ate a whale 2 hours ago. Still haven't puked, so seems like seems like it's not poisoned at all. Yeah, that's something I think not really you don't really have the chance to try something like that in anywhere in the world, probably because I think it's banned
Yeah.
to catch whales for meat. What's up?
Fucking cheetah is gonna kill you, Scotty said.
Why?
Either
Peter?
way, like they take care of animals.
I don't know. I don't care. Yeah, so eating a whale is something I've never tried before. Uh, Also, getting smashed with in a Viking and bar was a nice experience amongst all the 60-year-old Vikings. Yeah, it's been a fun trip. Not gonna lie.
So it brings up everything but the nature. But if you come here, the nature is also beautiful. But let's bring up the question that Scotty asked. We are having this Prague trip that we're gonna celebrate Scotty's birthday. You're eventually then gonna be the guide, I guess, at least for some two trips. Where are we gonna have the drinks?
Mm, First, we need to figure out some important questions with Scotty, some personal stuff. Then we need to decide what kind of bar we're gonna visit. He knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, uh, yeah, there's a lot of. Don't call me like that. Don't play with the words too much, man. There's a lot of places to go for. That's for sure. We also have to wait. What the attendance is like, what kind of people come, how many of them is there, and how much money they bring to our beautiful city. you know, I might be the guy to just rip them off, just guide them to the traps. I don't really know yet, but I might suggest anything you want, Scotty. So we need to sort out the important questions first, and then we can continue.
And if you want to answer to those questions, you have to come to Prague, I guess. You'll find the info about that in the Scottish Discord channel. If I go there, I'll probably do some shit there as well. If I'm sober when I do it, I don't know. It depends on Scotty, I guess. He wants to push me to do this non-sober podcast. Uh, we have three more questions. Two is already sent in, so the first one that is going to be sent in now is going to be the last one, and then we close it. Um, Hey, would you say that Trackmania Grand League map pack is competitive? Would you have rather played pre-season map by community, or in or the in-season maps? Like, I guess, yeah.
Honestly, right now I'm in the state of mind that I don't care. I It is what it is, and blaming the tracks or crying, out loud wouldn't help me at all. It will just put only myself down. So it is what it is. There are 10 tracks. Some of them may be questionable, yeah. Uh, but it's just gonna be like that. I'm not gonna say. I don't want to answer this question actually.
We're getting to the point where it doesn't answer questions. Okay, Tim Gosling is back with a question again. Do you think Ikarian would be on your or Call and Pax level if he wanted to and if he probably stayed active in the competitive scene? How would Karian play in today's line of drivers?
He's been inactive for like 7 years, maybe, like forever already. So it's really difficult to say. But I believe since he was on the top level back then, he would probably stay on the top level. And he's still pretty damn fast. It's just something wrong with him that he doesn't want to play competitively anymore. He just plays some TMNF tracks on TMX, plays some Knights Cups and those mini tech random cups for fun, which I honestly don't understand too much. Why would he do that? But yeah, his precision is on a very good level, and he seems to be on a yeah. He's really fast. He really is still very fast. So I believe if he was playing the tournaments, he would actually at least be competing for the WRs. About his consistency, I don't know, man. I believe that once you get a top time, then you have no problem with going regular like plus 30 from that. But maybe it doesn't work like that for everyone. For example, we've seen Vag, who is considered as one of the fastest players around, but for some reason he's not able to save enough, which I don't really understand. But I believe Karlian would be a great contender still, but he's probably not motivated to compete. Maybe he will come back if the game gets bigger, but I guess I really don't understand it. And actually, I would understand it if he quit the game and wouldn't play at all. But he plays, he really does. But TMNF with no attention, I don't understand it. But he's still pretty damn good.
Okay, so the last question is from Novis, who I guess is the most active guy in chat here. He is a fanboy of Kappa here, and maybe the next Czech superstar there, Novis. Do you see any reason to play with camera 3? He don't like it, I think he says.
The only reason why I use camera 3 is when there's looping or wall, right? Otherwise, I don't see a big difference between the cameras. Honestly, it's all about the car, which is the same for everyone. So just use the camera that feels the most comfortable for you and stick with it. Really, it doesn't make any difference. I personally see camera 3 as the worst, I would say. People seem to be like overestimating it just because Carl has been using it for and he's the legend. But I still think it's the worst camera you can use. Camera 2 is probably the best, but as I said, I don't see big differences between the cameras. It's not a big deal, honestly. But camera 3, I would really miss the cars around me, because with camera 1 you can still see the cars next to you, but you still have enough space in front of you so you can focus on the corners and you're not distracted too much. So camera 1 is pretty good in my opinion. Camera 2, I don't know, but camera 3, you either don't see anyone or you're blocked. Your view is either blocked, or or you don't see anyone. So I think that's the biggest disadvantage of camera 3.
Okay, I saw Novis mentioning someone with 1v1 in drinking. You are the man versus man in Trackmania. Who is the guy you don't want to challenge at the Prague trip for a 1v1 in drinking? Is it Novis, your countryman? Is it the birthday boy? Is it someone else? Who wouldn't the world champion challenging 1v1 in drinking?
From Trackmania base,
Yeah, I guess so people know.
I don't know who's coming. Well, I had a hard time drinking with you on Saturday. I survived, but I don't want to repeat that Sunday. Okay. But I saw you were also really wasted, so I think we are on the same level. So I'm not afraid to challenge you, honestly. Uh, but then there's no one other, so I'm not afraid.
Everybody.
I'm not afraid of anyone. Maybe Novis if he comes. I know he is an alcoholic himself. Yeah, I had to talk to him before the WTC finals because he was about to drink rum and I had to stop him because we needed him. So that's some insights from the Czech and Slovakian team.
Okay, so let's end it there. We have already the topic for the next podcast, and I guess that will be with Novis explaining why he wants to drink some rum in that before one of the most important matches in that tournament. But yeah, let's end it here. You have any final words for the people? Anything you want to say to the actual, I believe, 20 viewers who has been there stable for 1 hour, more or less up and down? The floor is yours, I guess.
Yeah, guys, thank you for watching. To those who are coming to Prague, see you soon. uh, we'll definitely have a good time. I promise. Even though I will just join you for 1 or 2 days, can't join for too long. Also, don't know how the if I'm gonna play the consolation final, which is also happening that weekend, and then I'm leaving to Florida for 2 weeks. So that will be a pretty busy week. But I will definitely see you if you come. And thank you for having me, NMD. Thank you for organizing this great trip, for providing all the stuff. It's been a blast. And see you soon, or wish me luck in TMGL. 1st of September. Don't miss out.
Bye bye.
Hello.